In this maps video, I'm going to show you how to insert pictures into Premier Pro CS3 so that you can create a slideshow of pictures and export it as a movie file. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up Premier Pro CS3 and select New Project. You'll then come to this window. Notice that it's preset to DVPAL widescreen, but we're going to change that and we're going to select HDV and just select the first option in the subfolder there. Next, we're going to make sure that we're saving to a secure location such as an external hard drive, and then you'll want to name your project. So I'm going to call this Slideshow1 _ maps. Oops, I'll just change that. Slideshow1 _ maps. And then select OK. You'll then come to the workspace of Premier Pro, and for those who haven't seen it before, a rough guide to it is up in the top left you've got your bin, which is where you import all your different elements to. You've then got your source monitor, which allows you to look at anything from the bin up close. You've then got a timeline, which is where you do most of your editing. And then up in the top right hand corner you've got your program monitor, and your program monitor reflects whatever's in the timeline and is also a reflection of what your final video is going to look like. You've got some other little panes in your workspace, one being your audio, one being some of your tools, and your effects tab on the left. Now before we import any pictures, what we need to do is change a few settings. First of all, we need to go up to Edit, Preferences, and just select General. This window will then appear. The two things that we want to focus on is, first of all, this one here saying Still Image Default Duration. So that's how long Premiere Pro is going to put as the default for how long each image is going to last for in the video. So do we want each image to default duration for 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds? And you'll notice to the right of it, it's talking not in seconds but in frames. So because we're working within an Australian format for this video, in Australia the frame rate is 25 frames per second. So for instance, if I wanted something to go for 4 seconds, I would have to do 4 multiplied by 25, so 100 frames. I would want each image to last for 100 frames. For the purposes of this video, let's say we wanted each picture to last for 2 seconds. 2 multiplied by 25 is 50, so I just put in 50 there. So this is completely up to you how long you want each picture to last for. The next one that you want to make sure is ticked is this default scale to frame size. Yours is probably not ticked, so make sure that you tick that one. And what that's going to do is that when you import the pictures into Premiere Pro, it's automatically going to scale them to fit within our frame. Once we've got those two options dealt with, we're then going to click OK. Next we want to import the images. So there's a couple of ways you can import, but the simplest way is just to right hand click in your bin and just go Import. Navigate your way to your images. So I've got some images in here. I'm going to hold Control down, so I select them all, and I'm going to open them, and they're all going to appear in my bin there. Now to get them onto the timeline, I could bring them individually down if I wanted to, but while they're all selected together, I can simply click on them as a group and drag them down onto my timeline, onto video 1 right at the very start. I'm just going to zoom in on my timeline so you can see those images a little bit clearer. You can either use the little toggle down at the bottom of your timeline, or you can click Alt on your keyboard and scroll on your mouse, and it becomes a little bit easier to see. So now we have all our images lined up on our timeline. Now you can move this little blue dot, which is called a CTI, a current time indicator. You can move that along your timeline, and you'll notice all of your images are sitting there nicely. A couple of these images, say for example my first one here, I've got these black lines on either side. So if I want to change that, what I can do is I can zoom in on that image. So all I'd have to do is select the image on the timeline, make sure my CTI is over the top of it so I can see it in my program monitor, go up to Effect Controls, and you'll notice in there's an option called Motion, so you can just drop down that white triangle, and there you've got Scale. Now you could type in a number there, so say if I want it to be 115%, it's going to zoom in. Or an easier way is to click on the number, hold down, and drag your mouse left and right, and you'll notice you're zooming in and out. So I think roughly there is quite nice. Come back to my timeline, keep moving my CTI along. That one's fine. It's fine. This one, I'm going to select it, up to Motion, and just zoom in a little bit on that one. If ever you want to move the position as well, you've got that just above Scale, so you can move it left and right and up and down as well. But once we're happy with the scale of them, what we could do now is add in some transitions between the different photos. And the way you do that is just on the left hand side in your Effects tab, just drop down Video Transitions, drop down Dissolve, and you'll notice there's an option there called Cross Dissolve. That's probably the most common one that you would use, but you can simply select it, drag it, hover it between the two clips, and let go. And you'll notice now it's sitting over both clips, so that cross dissolve is there. I can then do that for the others. Excellent. So now if I was to play, put my CTI at the start, press spacebar to play, and there's a nice cross dissolve between each of the images. And spacebar to stop as well. If you need to add music to your slideshow, or say you want to do it, what you can simply do is go back to your bin. You can once again right hand click and go down to Import. Find the music that you wanted to use, so say I wanted to use this one. I would go Open, and it will open in my bin. I could then select it, drag it down to Audio 1, so it's sitting underneath my photos. I'm then going to zoom out so you can see how long my audio track actually goes for. It goes a lot longer than my photos, so what I need to do is I need to make it shorter. So I'm going to select my audio, hover over the end so that I get a red bracket appearing, and then I can simply drag it down and place it in line with the photos. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see that. Excellent. One last thing before we export this. Currently the music just suddenly stops, so if I play it, it just suddenly ends quite loudly. So what we can do is, first of all, we can make that music softer, and the way we do that is we select that yellow line which is currently on the audio track, and you can simply drag that down a little bit so it's a little bit quieter. And then you can go up to your audio transitions, which is in your effects. You can drop that down, select Crossfade, and we're just going to use constant power, and you can drag that and place that at the very end of your audio track. So now I'm just going to click here towards the end, spacebar to play. It should fade out. So it fades out, which is a little bit nicer. You can also change the length of time for that to fade out by selecting that transition, hover your cursor over the end, and you can drag it to the left so that it's going to take a longer time to fade out. Excellent, so now we've got our slideshow, and we've got a few images in, we've got some music, and we've got some transitions in between. So let's say we wanted to export this now as a movie. I'm going to first of all save it, so I'm going to go Control S, or you can go File Save. Just to point out as well, you've also got the option of saving a copy of your project. The reason why you'd want to do this is in case your original project file gets corrupt, so just notice that you've got that option there. Okay, if your project's all saved, make sure that you have your timeline selected so that you have the yellow ring going around the edge. What you want to next do is go File, Export. You don't want to select movie, you want to go down to Adobe Media Encoder. With that, the next thing you'll want to change is your format. Yours is probably preset to Flash Player, so we want to change that to Windows Media. You'll notice that's the bottom option. The next one you want to change is your preset. Your preset is probably saying something like NTSC, so you want to change that and you want to select HDTV 720p 25 high quality. It's going to give you an estimated file size down the bottom there, and then you're going to want to click OK. It's going to ask you where you want to save it to. A good habit to get into, as I've done here in my Slideshow folder, is to make a folder called Output, and in there is where I'm going to save my slideshow. So I could call it Slideshow 1, and then I'd click Save, and then my video is going to start a process of rendering, and then it will pass through 2 phases of that, and then my video will be completed and it will be shown in this folder here in the output. If you'd like more information on Premiere Pro, this was just a very quick introduction to it. Please attend a Maps Hour session on video editing. It's 2 hours long and it goes into a lot more depth and into a lot more skills that you can pick up. But apart from that, that's how you create a slideshow using images in Premiere Pro CS3.